mentioned, the dominant follicle will now grow. The dominant follicle will be secreting estrogen. When the estrogen is secreted, the endometrium will now respond to estrogen. We said that the decrease in the levels of estrogen and progesterone was the reason why there was sloughing or why there was menstruation. The same estrogen will now increase, and with the increase in estrogen, it will now stop the bleeding. It is estrogen that is important to stop the bleeding. And when the bleeding stops, that endometrium will now begin to grow. Do you understand? Next to that, we said there are two events that are necessary so that there would be ovulation. Estradiol peak followed by LH peak followed by ovulation. However, please note this one. This is a pre-ovulatory rise in progesterone. This pre-ovulatory rise in progesterone is important. Why? Okay. Endocrinologic events of puberty. What are the events of puberty? There are hormonal events of puberty, correct? The first event is that there should be, okay, di ba merong hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis, right? Initially, when the child is, when she's prior to puberty, okay, the brain is very sensitive to estrogen. Even low levels of estrogen are high enough to inhibit the pulses of the GnRH. Okay? Suddenly, the brain escapes that sensitivity. That you need higher levels of estrogen before it now stops the pulses. Okay? Kaya nga higher estrogen, the breast will now respond by Clark. Yes? So far, so good. The last endocrinologic event of puberty is yung estradiol peak followed by LH peak. Estrogen will stop LH, estrogen will stimulate LH the same. Naintindihan po? At low levels magkakaiba siya, kaya nga mahirap intindihan yung endometrial cycle. But what's important for you to remember, yung sinasabing immature pa ang HPO axis, that's why she is not menstruating regularly. Dapat kasi yung estradiol peak will exert a positive feedback for LH peak. Yun yung last na hinihintay natin. For her to menstruate regularly, she needs to ovulate. Okay, naintindihan? Hello? For her to bleed, she doesn't need to ovulate, ma'am. Okay. Ang estrogen, mapoproduce pag nag-ovulate lang, yes or no? No. Ang estrogen, kahit na walang ovulation, napoproduce. Saan galing ba ang estrogen? Naku, biochemistry na yun, ayoko na po. You don't need to, the woman does not need to ovulate to produce estrogen. She needs to ovulate to produce progesterone. Okay, to produce progesterone, there should be an LHP. Okay? Gets po. So sabi natin, ang important is the positive feedback of the estrogen to the LH. Estradiol peak followed by LHP. However, that will not happen unless the brain is sensitized by a little progesterone. Ang lupit na requirement, no? Paano ka mag-produce? Gets po ninyo? There should be a little progesterone that will be secreted. This pre-ovulatory rise in progesterone is important because estrogen will not stimulate LH peak unless the anterior pituitary gland is primed by a little progesterone. Gets? Alright, so eventually, so you see here, estrogen will have two rises. The initial rise in estrogen, okay, ladies and gentlemen, is in the follicular phase. The next rise in estrogen is in the luteal phase. There is a pre-ovulatory rise in progesterone, but there's really only one, pagka nagdi-discuss na, isa lang yung sinasabing rise in progesterone in the luteal phase. Ito is called the pre-ovulatory rise, when in fact, rise down, di ba? Yes. Kaya, minsan, in the middle of her cycle, a woman will bleed. Sabi ko sa inyo, 2 beses mag-bleed ang endometrium. Mag-withdraw ka ng hormone, mag-breakthrough ng hormone. Dito, bumababa ang progesterone? Yes. Bumababa ang estrogen? Yes. Dapat bang mag-bleed siya? Yes. Nag-bleed siya ng konti. Women, in the middle of the cycle, when the mucus that your discharge is nag-i-spin bar key, yung nagpapara siyang sipon na malagnaw, what do you call that? I forgot. Anyway, pag nai-stretch mo yung vaginal discharge, yung mucus, tapos sometimes may streak ng blood, that is because of this decrease in the mid-luteal phase. Naintindihan? So eventually, okay, then there will now be a corpus luteum. And the corpus luteum, ladies and gentlemen, determines the length of the luteal phase because it lives only for 12 to 24 days. Then we will also look at the changes in the endometrium. So this is how you will understand the ovarian, the coordination between the hypothalamic, pituitary, ovarian, and endometrial axis. When a woman becomes pregnant, so let's see here. Let's say, for example, this is her LMP, right? She bled here. This is day 1 of her bleeding. So let's say, for example, in this cycle, she becomes pregnant. What's going to happen? When she becomes pregnant, this corpus luteum will need to be rescued. Why? When she becomes pregnant, the blastocyst will implant. When the blastocyst implants, the trophoblast will invade the endometrium. The trophoblast will produce HCG. The HCG will now rescue the corpus luteum so that it will be alive. Because we said the corpus luteum only lives for 14 days. The placenta begins to function at 10 weeks age of gestation, ma'am. Nalilito na po ako. Oh. In obstetrics, this is LMP, okay? In obstetrics, this is LMP. The first day of the last menstruation is the LMP. Now, we compute the age of gestation based on the LMP. So this is her day 14, this is her day 20, this is the day 28, kunyari, of her cycle. She's supposed to menstruate here, right? But she became pregnant. Implantation happened on day 20, 21. Hello? Kasi, ovulation, 14 days. After 1 week, di ba mag-i-implant na yun, magta-travel sa fallopian tube. Alam niyo na dapat yun sa histology, right? Tapos, this is supposed to be day 21, okay? We compute the age of gestation based on the LMP. Paano ba makikita yan? Okay, here. So, we compute the age of gestation based on the LMP. If this is day 14, ang LMP kasi kunyari, this is day 28. If we base the age of gestation on LMP, this is 4 weeks age of gestation, correct? Hello? 4 weeks age of gestation. Pero ang embryonic age niya, 2 weeks lang. Okay? Naintindihan po ninyo? So, although mali ang... Ma'am, bakit ganon? Why are we basing our age of gestation on the LMP? Because the only predictable, the only thing that we're sure of is the LMP. Well, the only thing the woman will be sure of is the LMP. Okay? Kaya nga, pagka mga OCWs, we don't get the age of gestation by LMP. Doktora, 3 weeks pa lang po ako dito. Bakit po 5 weeks na yung pagbubuntis na yan? Diba? Pagka-away, did you get my point? yung OCW yung husband. The husband is in the Philippines for 3 weeks only. 3 weeks only. Pero syempre, ang age of gestation natin based on the LMP, which was 2 weeks na wala siya. Tapos bibigyan mo siya ng aging na 5 weeks. Doc, 3 weeks pa lang ako dito. Bakit 5 weeks na yung pregnancy ng asawa ko? That's how they do the math. So for women who have OCWs, we don't get the LMP basis of aging. We get the husband arrival as basis of aging. Or we request an ultrasound, which we will discuss eventually. Okay? Naintindihan po? Okay. So, when we talk about ovulation, ovulation is a different thing. Okay? Ovulation, this is at the middle of the cycle. This ovulation means we release the mature oocyte. Actually, hindi pa siya completely mature, di ba? Immature pa rin yung oocyte, di ba? Kailan nga mag-complete ang maturation ng oocyte? On fertilization. Okay? An almost mature oocyte is released by ovulation. And what does this happen? There will be augmentation of the cumulus oophorus by expansion. The extracellular matrix will be remodeled. Okay, ano yung extracellular matrix? Ito po yung mature Graafian follicle. And dito po yung oocyte, cumulus oophorus, di ba? Ito yung basement membrane, ito yung theca cell. Tapos nandito pa yung extracellular matrix. Right? And okay. The extracellular matrix needs to be remodeled, and this is done by LH. Then the basement membrane that separates the theca cell from the granulosa cell is lysed by proteases. Therefore, all of this is biochemistry. These enzymes are necessary so that ovulation can happen. So as I have mentioned, the first event of ovulation is expansion. The cumulus oophorus will expand. Why? Because there would be hyaluronic acid. Ano yan? Glycosaminoglycans. Diba? Repeating. Triglyceride. Diba? 3 bases that are always repeating, kaya nag-expand, na-expand siya. Now, the cumulus oophorus will be expanded and the volume will now be increased. Okay? Eventually, this hyaluronic acid is influenced by LH, progesterone, prostaglandins, and the growth differentiating factor 9, and the bone morphogenetic protein. This, hindi na itatanong yan, ako lang nakaintindihan sa amin. Because I'm the only one who's teaching biochemistry. Okay? So eventually, after that ovulation, now the ovarian cycle is now into the luteal phase. This is characterized by the luteinization of the corpus luteum. Okay? The corpus luteum comes from the remains of the mature Graafian follicle. Again, as I have mentioned, initially before she becomes pregnant, during the luteal phase, it is the LH that maintains the corpus luteum. The basement membrane that was separating the theca cell from the granulosa cell was now broken down by the proteases, and because there is remodeling of the extracellular matrix, there will be neovascularization. Always, vascular endothelial growth factor is a substance that will cause neovascularization, and this neovascularization is important. Later, I will tell you why. Eventually, there will be hypertrophy of the luteinized granulosa and the luteinized theca cell. Why? Because it's supposed to secrete something, it's supposed to secrete other hormones. So during the luteal phase, wala na pong two-cell, two-gonadotropin theory. Why? Because as we have mentioned, the basement membrane that separates the theca cell from the granulosa cell has been lysed. Remember, yung fixation ng LH to theca cell ng girlfriend ko, ng granulosa cell at saka ng FSH is not definite. Tandaan po ninyo, cholesterol, di ba? It will become pregnenolone. It will enter two pathways. Magiging androstenedione. This will be the progesterone pathway. This is the dehydroepiandrosterone pathway. All becoming androstenedione. Tapos magiging estrogen. Di ba? Hello? Okay, so kung titingnan po ninyo, because of this pathway, dapat the theca cell can also produce progesterone. The theca cell is supposed to produce also estrogen. Bakit hindi siya nagpo-produce ng estrogen? Wala siyang aromatase enzyme. Period. So, kung walang aromatase enzyme si theca cell, I understand why it's only the granulosa cell that can produce estrogen. But looking at this pathway, dapat pala si theca cell makakaproduce ng progesterone, correct? Kasi ito yung pathway. Diba? Eh bakit sa second phase lang merong progesterone at saka dito, saan galing si progesterone? O kita nyo? Progesterone came from the luteinized granulosa cell. What the? Bakit ganon, ma'am? Okay, sabi natin yung pre-ovulatory rise in progesterone, okay? Yung, di ba, meron kasing hormone, meron yung enzyme dito, okay, mali pala. The enzyme here is the enzyme here, di ba? Dun sa pathway, enzyme number 2 here is the enzyme here, correct? This is the preferred pathway in the theca cell kasi ito yung primary enzyme niya. Okay? Second, sa theca cell, okay, dito po, okay, dito sa granulosa cell, ang granulosa cell, nagpo-produce siya bigla ng progesterone. Why? Initially, hindi niya kayang i-convert si acetate to become cholesterol. Kaya kailangan niya yung tulong ni theca cell. Gets? Hello? What is it that you didn't understand? Everything. Wow. Uulitin ko? Ulit? Ulit. Okay, escape natin. Okay, so punta tayo dyan ulit para makadrawing ulit ako. Hindi ako Okay, so this is what's happening in the luteal phase. In the luteal phase, theca cell, LH, ganun pa rin. Walang nabago kay theca cell. Yun na lang ang tandaan ninyo. Maraming pagbabago in the granulosa cell, the luteinized granulosa cell. The first thing, okay, is that in the luteinized granulosa cell, because there is neovascularization, there is now blood vessel going to the granulosa cell. And because there's now blood vessel going into the granulosa cell, the low density lipoprotein becomes now the substrate so that it will be used as cholesterol in the granulosa cell, and thus this pathway enters the progesterone pathway. The progesterone is produced by the granulosa cell. Gets? Okay. The granulosa cell is not exclusive for FSH. Why? Sabi natin, ang girlfriend ko may aroma, dapat si FSH nandito to stimulate the granulosa cell, and the granulosa cell will activate the aromatase enzyme, right, to convert androstenedione to estrogen. But it will also act on the LH receptor. There are LH receptors in the granulosa cell. Si LH, sino nga yan? I-activate niya yung side chain cleavage enzyme to produce to convert cholesterol to become pregnenolone. Eh ma'am, bakit biglang naging progesterone? Cholesterol becomes pregnenolone. It will enter the progesterone pathway. Right? Tapos dito yung dehydroepiandrosterone pathway. Tapos magiging androstenedione, magiging estrogen. This is the main pathway. The dehydroepiandrosterone pathway is the preferred pathway because the active enzyme to convert pregnenolone is enzyme number 1. But enzyme number 1 is absent in the granulosa cell. Kaya sa granulosa cell, siya ang magpo-produce ng progesterone. All the progesterone that's converted, that's produced in the granulosa cell will not become androstenedione. Looking at this pathway, it should become androstenedione, right? But it's not becoming androstenedione because this is blocked. Wala siya nung, hindi ko na nga pinamemorize yung enzyme di ba? Enzyme number 1 is here. Enzyme number 2 is here. Tatlong enzymes yan Naintindihan na po. That's why, when there is in the luteal phase, the luteinized granulosa cell has receptors for both FSH and LH. The luteinized granulosa cell will produce both estrogen and progesterone. Yun lang yun. Naintindihan na? It's important that you don't just remember, you don't just memorize, you should understand. This is what this illustration means. Okay? So, sino ang main in the luteal phase, dalawang hormones, estrogen and progesterone, right? Wala nang nabago na alam natin, it is the granulosa cell that produces estrogen. Yes? Saan kumuha ng estrogen? Ng source for estrogen si granulosa cell? Kay theca cell. The luteinized granulosa cell also produces progesterone. Saan siya kumuha ng substrate? Sarili niya sa LDL. Okay po. That's why, pag nagbuntis, itong pathway na to, pag nabuntis, magkakaroon, meron pang isang receptor dito, si HCG receptor. Si HCG receptor, kailangan nandyan siya to maintain the life of this corpus luteum. Bakit? Kasi, again, pregnancy. If this LMP, this is 4 weeks age of gestation, diba? Tapos, 10 weeks age of gestation, the placenta becomes functional at 10 weeks age of gestation. Now, paano yun ma'am? Dapat mamamatay ang corpus luteum sa 4 weeks age of gestation. Bakit ano bang ginagawa nila? Both estrogen and progesterone are important hormones for successful implantation, for successful pregnancy. Kung mamamatay siya dito sa 4 weeks age of gestation, there's a good 6 weeks na walang nagproproduce ng estrogen and progesterone. Right? At pag walang nagproproduce, paano ngayong mabubuhay yung pregnancy? That's why kailangan i-rescue si corpus luteum. O diba, ang galing na biochemist ng creator natin? And that's biochemistry. So, kailangan i-rescue si corpus luteum so that the corpus luteum life will be extended from 4 weeks to 10 weeks age of gestation. Produce ng estrogen, progesterone necessary to pregnancy. And who does that? HCG. Sinong gumawa ng HCG? Yung products of conception, ang lupit natin mag-influence sa nanay natin, di ba? Bata ka pa, ini-influensyahan mo na nanay mo, inuuto mo na. Cell ka pa lang, kapal ng mukha mo. Okay, naintindihan po ninyo to. O, tama na yan, tapos na yan. Estrogen production, nasabi ko na yan, okay? So, ito yung dalawang beses, di ba, na production, dalawa. Second, merong initial rise, merong secondary rise, right? Okay. So, estrogen. Estrogen is a steroid hormone. Being a steroid hormone, this steroid hormone, ladies and gentlemen, is transported by a transport protein, di ba? From the source. So, itong estrogen ngayon, pupunta sa endometrium, magkocross ng bilipid layer kasi is ano siya, steroid hormone, di ba? Then after it crosses the bilipid layer, it will now be received by its receptor. Saan ang action ng estrogen sa loob ng nucleus? It will attach to the DNA, and once inside the DNA, transcription, translation, physiologic response. Physiologic response to estrogen is breast development. Physiologic response to estrogen is endometrial proliferation. Okay? So there are two estrogen receptors, estrogen receptor alpha and estrogen receptor beta. Naintindihan nyo na to. Kaya dapat nung binasa nyo lang ngayon ito, hindi tinuro sa amin sa biochemistry of hormones, signal transduction. Si Dr. Mark ang nagturo, di ba? Yes? Sino nagturo ng biochemistry of hormones? Sino po? Sino? Doc? Doc Bagos. Biochemistry of hormones? Hindi mo alam? Ulo! Okay. So, bahala na kayo. Tapos na ako doon. So, progesterone. Progesterone, again, is produced by the luteinized granulosa cell. So, I think we talked about this already. Okay. So, progesterone is a steroid hormone, just like estrogen, but it has 4 receptors. Meron siyang progesterone receptor A, may progesterone receptor B, at meron siyang G-protein associated progesterone receptor. Teka ma'am, si estrogen alpha beta, si progesterone A and B. Ito mga intracellular receptors. Bakit siya nagkaroon ng G-protein receptor? G-protein cell membrane, di ba? Sino ba ang gumagamit ng cell membrane associated receptors? Yung mga hormones na water soluble, hindi siya dapat makakalabas ng bilipid layer. Di ba? Bakit? Ma'am, ito po ay steroid hormone. Bakit siya may G-protein receptor? Ewan ko. Pero ang turo sa biochemistry, basta may receptor, target. Di ba? Yun yung target gland. So, meron tong role, hindi pa lang natin alam. Alright? So, what is the biologic response to progesterone? Number 1, it attaches to the progesterone receptor, di ba? Sinabi nga natin yon. Now, yung progesterone receptor A and progesterone receptor B co-regulate each other. Pag ito ang nakataas, ibababa ito. Maintindihan niyo yun later sa initiation of labor. So, tatandaan nyo, biochemistry pa rin yun. Okay? So, luteolysis is something that will definitely happen kapag hindi natin rescue ang corpus luteum. The corpus luteum regresses in 9 to 11 days. Why does it regress? We do not know. They thought it's probably secondary to decreases in the levels of LH and decreases in sensitivity to LH. Why? Because it is the luteinizing hormone that maintains the life of the corpus luteum. Okay? And when there is luteolysis, there will be drop in circulating levels of estrogen and progesterone, and there will be menstruation. So let's look at the endometrium. Okay, so malapit nang matapos ang 8 o'clock. Remember, don't be confused. There are 2 layers of the endometrium. We have the functionalis layer and the basalis layer. This is the basalis layer. This is the functionalis layer. We slough off the functionalis, not the basalis. The functionalis layer is the one that we see in the menstruation. Okay, in the menstrual blood. Okay. So, ano po yung makikita po natin? Okay, so parang okay. So we have here, okay, the functional layer and the basalis. In the functional layer, the functionalis layer have the main blood supply, which is the spiral artery. Remember, the spiral artery is coiled. Whereas in the basalis layer, the main supply would be the basal arteries, which is more straight. Okay? Bakit ito coiled? Kasi itong endometrium, yan yung kumakapal. Diba? Siya yung nag-proliferate. Siya yung kumakapal in the entire. Okay, so, what you need to know is that, okay, so what else? Okay, si endometrium, pag sinabi po natin ng epithelial lining, mali pala to, okay? Pag sinabi po natin na epithelial lining, ano po yun? We have here, nakakalito kasi siya minsan, this is the endometrium, okay, the uterus. Let us cut this, okay? If we cut this is the, pag sinabi nilang epithelial lining, itong lining epithelium ng endometrium. Gets po? Pag sinabing epithelial lining, we're talking about the lining epithelium of the endometrium. Alright? Now, okay, we said estrogen is the one that is important to stop the bleeding so that there will be cessation of the bleeding. The recovery of that lining epithelium, okay, occurs because of re-epithelialization and angiogenesis, and this is secondary to the effect of estrogen on the lining epithelium of the endometrium via the action on estrogen receptor alpha and estrogen receptor beta. Now, re-epithelialization begins even before menstruation happens. And re-epithelialization is supposed to be complete at day 5 of the cycle. Thus, menstrual bleeding should not be more than 7 days. Kasi day 5 of the cycle, dapat naka-recover na yung endometrium na yon. Now, why? Re-epithelialization happens because there is epithelial cell growth and there is stromal cell growth. Sino ang nag-stimulate ng growth ng epithelium? Si estrogen, epidermal growth factor, and transforming growth factor alpha. Sino ang nag-proliferate ng stroma? Si estrogen, okay, FGF9, which is the fibroblast growth factor 9. Okay, so kailangang mag-recover both the lining epithelium and the stroma. Siyempre, sino ang hormone for angiogenesis? That would be vasoendothelial growth factor na all stimulated by estrogen. That's why wala kang nakitang progesterone dito, right? So, in the medical field, as a gynecologist, pag meron kang pasyente nag-a-abnormal uterine bleeding, ang sagot, bigyan mo ng estrogen para tumigil ang bleeding. That's the clinical application. There are several structures aside from the lining epithelium. So ito na yung kinat natin, di ba sabi ko po sa inyo kanina, this is the uterus. Kung magka-cut tayo ng, hindi pala, lahat yan, I'm sorry. This is the endometrium, okay? Hindi kasama yan, mali yung cut section ko. Ang cut section ko, ito lang, cut natin yan. Okay, endometrium. Ito yung endometrium, di ba? Ikinat natin. Nawala na? Ay, ba't namatay na siya? Sorry. Okay. Gaya yung pinatang ko. Not responding. Pagkat mo na ang laptop niya. Okay, here. So far, so good? Yes? Tama ba? Kita ba? Okay, so, again, this is the lining epithelium. Okay? So, ito yung glands, di ba? Si gland, oy, nanganganib. Si gland, may lining epithelium din. Di ba? So, please, isipin nyo, anong epithelium yan, ma'am? Sa lining epithelium ng endometrium or lining epithelium ng glands. So, pag sa endometrial cycle, itabulate nyo lang ang changes sa lining epithelium, sa gland, sa spiral artery, at saka sa stroma para mabilis natin matandaan. So, kailangan alam yung changes sa lining epithelium, changes sa gland, changes sa spiral artery, at saka changes sa stroma. So, maikli ba? Okay, wait. Okay, game. So, proliferative muna bago mag-secretory phase. Okay. So, in the early proliferative phase, the endometrium is thin. It is less than 2 millimeters. By ultrasound, we call this type A endometrium. If you see in the ultrasound, it is echogenic. So, this is the lining epithelium. This is the endometrial gland. So, ang lining epithelium, okay, is thin in the early proliferative phase. Alright? So, we will also have the endometrial glands. The endometrial glands in the early proliferative phase are narrow and it is tubular. It is straight and it is parallel from the basal layer towards the surface of the endometrial cavity. Naintindihan? Because remember, this is the endometrial cavity. Yes? Hello? Ito yung lining epithelium, ito yung endometrial cavity. Diba? Okay. Ma'am? Uterus. Ito yung endometrium. Ito yung cut section natin. So, ito ay endometrial cavity. Okay. Alright. So, the endometrial glands are narrow. Yan ang itsura. Okay. Ano ang dapat tandaan? Day 5. By day 5, there will now be mitotic figures. Saan magkakaroon ng mitosis? Sa lining epithelium o sa gland? Sa lining epithelium ng gland. Sa lining epithelium ng glands. Okay? Hindi dito sa lining epithelium na to magkakaroon ng mitosis. Kasi dapat ba iba to, di ba? Ang turo sa inyo sa histology, nagiging hindi na siya tubular. Di ba? Nagiging cold na yung glands. Dapat madali na yung trabaho ko. Nagturo na ng histology to eh. Micro, di ba? Micro HSV. Okay, so kaya pag nag-cut section ka sa histology, pag cut section mo, ito yung lining epithelium ng endometrium, ito yung lining epithelium, ito yung glandular epithelium. Tubular lang siya. Kasi siya yung sa start ng proliferative. And if you would see, kailangan, basta tatandaan nyo, yung nucleus, mula dito sa base, papunta yan dito. Pupunta sa apex. Di ba yun yung tinuro sa histology? Right? Bahala na kayo sa buhay mo. Basta alam ko yung tinuro. So, ngayon, pag late proliferative, early kanina, sa late proliferative, the lining epithelium of the endometrium becomes thick. It is now 8 to 12 millimeters thick. Why is it thick? Because of the hyperplasia of the gland. Ulit. Ito si functional layer, ito si basal layer. Kita nyo kumakapal na? Diba? Bakit siya kumakapal? nagiging 8 to 12 millimeters na itong lining epithelium. Sino ang kumakapal? Si functional layer lang. Si basalis layer, hindi kakapal yan. Okay, so habang kumakapal si functional layer, kasi kung nagiging hyperplastic yung gland. Tapos yung stroma, nagiging makapal kasi merong edema at saka marami ng protina. Okay? And then eventually, okay, near ovulation, the lining epithelium becomes trilaminar. In ultrasound, we call this type B or C prior to ovulation. And near the ovulation, the surface epithelium, kaninong surface ito? Sa surface ba ng gland o sa surface ng endometrium? Ito ang endometrial cavity, ito yung endometrium, ito yung gland. Kaninong surface ito? Surface ito nitong endometrium. Bakit? Magkakaroon siya ng microvilli at saka cilia. Itong gland na to, sa palagay mo, may secretion? May secretion yung gland? Yes. Kaya siya nag-hyperplasia nagtatrabaho na siya. Kanina, hindi siya nagtatrabaho, kaya tubular lang siya, di ba? Ngayon, bakit? May kailangan ito, nasa ovulation na siya, nagtatrabaho na siya. Why? Si gland, meron niyang secretion na kailangang lumabas dito. Bakit kaya kailangan lumabas? Kasi kailangang i-spread yan dun sa endometrium para yung kakapit na parasite, tayo yon sa ating nanay, ay makakapit. Kaya meron dapat microvilli and cilia. So that, okay, the secretions from the gland will be able to spread. Nag-ovulate na Diba? Naghahanda na for implantation. Ngayon, yung lining epithelium naman ng gland, magiging taller and pseudostratified. Bakit? Bakit siya magiging pseudostratified? Kasi po, minsan, merong vacuoles, merong glycogen vacuoles. Diba? Sabi natin nung una, ito yung gland. Okay? Yan yung dapat lahat sila nasa, yung nucleus niya nasa base lahat. Malapit na ng ovulation, the first sign of ovulation is vacuolation, the glycogen vacuole. Yung glycogen vacuole, gusto niyang pumunta dito sa gitna. Di ba? Nasaan yung gitna? Yan yung kanal ng gland Right? Bakit? Kasi siya i-spread ng microvilli. Diba? Kaya, yung nucleus, mapupunta siya mula dito sa apex, pababa siya. Ma'am? Kasi nga ito yung vacuole, ito yung nucleus. Ito yung glycogen vacuole, ito yung nucleus. Bakit pseudostratified? Ito, mukhang nandiyan dyan kasi nakapaglabas na ng glycogen vacuole, di ba? O wala pang glycogen vacuole, hindi pantay-pantay. See this? Ito may mitotic figure, tapos ito nandyan yung glycogen vacuole. Bakit sila nagmamitosis, magtatrabaho na sila? Kaya pseudostratified kasi yung iba nasa dulo, yung iba nasa base. Pero pseudo lang kasi hindi naman talaga siya iba-ibang layer. Bakit? Kasi kailangan makarating dito sa gitna si glycogen. Bakit? Kasi kailangan niya sa implantation. So that when we enter the secretory phase, the endometrium, the lining epithelium of the endometrium is now thick. Type D. Okay? Thick na siya. Tapos, ito sa glands na to, na-coiled na siya. Ang lining epithelium ng gland becomes secretory. Ma'am, saan galing yung secretion? Si glycogen vacuole. Diba? Naging secretory siya. In fact, the first sign of ovulation is the glycogen vacuole that accumulates from the basal portion of that lining epithelium to the gitna. Sometimes it's subnuclear. Kaya siya po gets, remember? Hindi ko kanina. Bakit parang, Hello, gising na ba kayo? Pero kahit nag-Christmas party pa ako kahapon. 12 o'clock na ako umuwi, nabunggo pa ako. O diba, gumising pa ako ng 5 o'clock, parang maligo, mag-blow dry, tapos mag-makeup kayo. Kainis. Okay lang kayo, naintindihan niyo. Okay, ganun yung aaralin siya. Alright? So, ito ngayon, the first sign. So, ano nga yung una natin? Day 5 mitotic. Kailan yung mitotic figure? Day 5. Day 17, subnuclear vacuoles, di ba? Ngayon, the vacuoles move to the apex. Bakit siya gagalaw sa apex? Kasi kailangan mapunta dito sa gitna. Isisikrit na nga siya. And by day 19, the secretions of the gland, okay, become apparent. Anong mga secretions yun? Mucopolysaccharides at saka glycoprotein. Ayan na naman si GAG. Hindi na GAG na yan, hindi na tayo pinakawalan. Si hyaluronidase, di ba? Hyaluronic acid. Kailangan po namin yon. So eventually, in the secretory phase, the glandular epithelium, yung vacuoles na to, from base, mapupunta siya sa apex. Yun yung sinasabi natin. Okay? So what else do we want you to remember? Okay? And by day 21 to 24, there will now be edema of the stroma. Mamamagana yan. Bakit? The edema will only be seen, kaya nga secretory, nag-secrete yung glands, nagkaroon ng edema. Bakit nag-edema? Aber. Remember, there's spiral arteries. Diba? Ang spiral arteries, nakaganan yan eh. The coiling is faster than the thickening of the endometrium, ma'am. Diba, is endometrium nagiging thick. Diba? Kaya yung spiral arteries coil, para makakaabot siya dito, sa taas. Kaso, mas mabilis ang spiraling kaysa sa pagkapal nitong endometrium, may limit lang. At dahil mas mabilis ang pag-spiral ng pag-coil ng arteries kaysa sa pagkapal ng endometrium, venous stasis. Diba? O, ano mangyayari? Lalabas si fluid. Edema. So, biochemistry lahat yan. Okay? So, ganyan po ang pangyayari. Therefore, the glandular epithelium, okay, eventually, when the endometrium becomes secretory, that's the mitosis of the lining epithelium of the gland ceases. Kasi di ba, hindi niya na kailangan mag-mitosis. Magsisikret na siya eh. Bakit tumigil ang mitosis? Ayan na si progesterone. Because progesterone is anti-mitotic. And 17-hydroxy steroid dehydrogenase is an enzyme that converts estrogen to estrone. There are 3 estrogens, estradiols, is E2, E3, and E1. E1 is the estrogen of the menopause. This is the weaker estrogen. And 17-beta-hydroxy steroid dehydrogenase enzyme is the enzyme that converts E2 to become the weaker E1. And when this is weaker, so lalo nang walang mitotic activity. Okay? This is also very important, the window of implantation. Will I be able to use this? Yes, I use this as an IVF specialist. I am an IVF specialist, I am a reproductive medicine specialist, and I do IVF. And we have to know the window of implantation. The window of implantation is between days 20 to 24. It's not 21. Diba sabi natin, ang magic natin is day 14 kung day 28. Ano yung nasa gitna? 7 days after the ovulation is day 21. That's the time when it's supposed to be implanting. Pero hindi naman malupit na isang araw lang. Si uusay, pag inovulate, 24 hours lang yang mag-iintay. Pag hindi yan na-fertilize, maglalize. Kasi hindi natapos ang maturation process. Gets? Pero ang implantation, medyo nag-iintay ng konti, 20 to 24 days. At this time, yung lining epithelium na merong microvilli at cilia, konti na yung microvilli at cilia. Bakit? Ay, pang-spread lang naman siya ng glycosaminoglycans, di ba? Ng mucopolysaccharidoses. Tama po ba? Eh, pagka meron pa rin siya na maraming silya at the period of implantation, eh di tataboy mo si blastocyst, hindi siya kakapit. Okay. Now, at this time, we also need the pinopodes. The pinopodes are protrusions, okay? Luminal protrusions on the apical cell surface. May protrusion sa apical cells. Why? It prepares that sinong merong luminal protrusions? Si lining epithelium na yan, hindi si glandular epithelium. Bakit? Kasi kailangan niyang kumapit, kailangan niyang kunin si blastocyst para, pag makinis na makinis ang lining, hindi, makinis ang endometrium, tapos nilagyan mo pa ng mucopolysaccharidosis, hindi dudulas lang si blastocyst. So, kailangan meron siyang aangkoran. So, these pinopodes will help that endometrium prepare for the implantation of the blastocyst. And we need epoxies. We need adhesive agents, glycocalysis. This allows acceptance of the blastocyst. Okay? So, day 23 to 28, there will now be pre-decidual cells that will surround the spiral arterioles. Decidua means endometrium of pregnancy. Pre-decidua, bago mag-pregnant. The pre-decidual transformation happens in the upper two-thirds of the functional layer between day 22 to 26 ulit. Si day 20 to 24 ang window of implantation. Tapos, between day 22 to 25, so 22 to 25, tapos si window of implantation nasan? 20 to 24. Diba? So ito yung window of implantation, yung pre-decidual transformation is happening at days 22 to 25. The glands now have a very extensive coiling. At saka marami na siyang secretion. Why? Kasi ito yung breaking point. It will determine whether it's going to become the endometrium of menstruation or the endometrium of pregnancy. Okay? So ito na yung sinabi ko, angiogenesis, blah, 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 it expands rapidly. So what happens in menstruation? Okay? Ano yung mid-luteal secretory phase? Mid-luteal, this is day 1. This is day 14, this is day 28. Day 21 is mid-luteal secretory phase. Nandyan yung day 20 to 24, window of implantation. Andyan dyan din yung pre-decidualization. Day 22 to 25. So nandito 25 tapos 22. So, nandiyan dyan sa gitna na yan. Ito yung sinasabi ko, if the woman is pregnant, the endometrium will become decidualized. Okay? But if the woman is not pregnant, okay, then there will be decrease in the production. The most important is production of progesterone. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, para siya ay magkaroon ng regular menstruation, kailangang mag-ovulate. Bakit? Kasi kailangang mawala si progesterone para mag-cause ng luteolysis para magkaroon ng menstruation. Gets? For regular menses, there should be ovulation. If she's not menstruating regularly, she's not ovulating. Why is it ovulation? Because it's progesterone that will cause luteolysis. Alright? Okay, so, late premenstrual phase endometrium. Okay, what's going to happen? There will now be inflammation, pseudo-inflammation. The polymorphonuclear PMNs will be there. The polymorphonucleoids will be there. Why? Okay, it will enter the stromal cells and the epithelial cells. This is interleukins. Di ba yung cytokines? Inflammation? Bakit? Kasi bakit may inflammation, may edema na eh. Right? Nagkaroon na ng stasis. Tapos, in the endometrium, there would be monocyte chemotactic protein. All of this will call the inflammatory cells clean the debris. Leukocyte infiltration is very important so that the matrix will be broken down. Kailangan niyang tanggalin yung functional layer na hindi ginamit. Menstrual blood is not dirty. Menstruation is a cry of a frustrated womb. And it has to repair that functional layer so that it will become ready again for another period of implantation. Therefore, as we have mentioned, the first part of the menses, the first part of the cycle is day 1 of the menses. Okay? By day 5, cycle day 5, reepithelialization starts even prior to menstruation. Right? And it is completed by day 5. Okay? So, there will be the secretory and the proliferative phase. In the proliferative phase, this is characterized by one thickening of the endometrium. The endometrium becomes thick. The glands become coiled. Diba? Sinabi na natin yon. Tapos eventually, it will enter the ovulatory phase. And then after that, there will be secretory phase, characterized by secretions from the glands, by edema of the stroma. Tapos eventually by day 24, okay? By day 24, what will happen? That endometrium will stop becoming thick. Okay? And because that endometrium stops becoming thick, kasi bakit hindi na siya magiging thick? Day 24 na to. Ito pa ba yung window of implantation? Nasa loob pa siya?
Ay, hindi ko na alam.
Yes, last day ng implantation niya, di ba? Hanggang 25 yung pre-decidualization. Right? So day 24, pag day 24 at hindi nabuntis, wala nang pag-asa yun. So hindi kami pwedeng mag-embryo transplant ng after day 24. After that, there will be excessive coiling of the endometrium of the spiral arteries, and because there's excessive coiling of the spiral arteries, there will be stasis, hypoxia, and with hypoxia, magvavasodilate itong spiral artery na yan. Magvavasodilate, tapos magvavasoconstrict. Kasi nag-vasoconstrict, ito yung i-menstruate, ito yung tatapon, ito yung dirty. That's why kailangan ng inflammation. Clear? Clear po. Okay? Prostaglandins are important. Why? Okay? The bleeding has to stop. And the bleeding stops because of vasoconstriction and because of the presence of these prostaglandins. Okay? The prostaglandins will cause vasoconstriction. It will also cause myometrial contractions and upregulation of the inflammatory response. The reason for dysmenorrhea is the prostaglandin. The reason for the dysmenorrhea is the myometrial contractions and the ischemia. But that is not always the reason for the dysmenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea can be physiologic or pathologic. We need to withdraw that progesterone. Why? Okay, sabi natin, because there is progesterone withdrawal at the end of the cycle. It increases the COX-2, okay? It increases prostaglandin synthase 2. Second, progesterone withdrawal will decrease the 15-hydroxy prostaglandin dehydrogenase. The 15-hydroxy prostaglandin dehydrogenase degrades the prostaglandin. Ma'am, ba't kailangan i-degrade yung prostaglandin? Hindi naman pwedeng laging may prostaglandins. Hindi pwedeng forever vasoconstricted. Kailangan mag-regenerate ng endometrium. Okay? It's po. So, menstrual phase, menstrual blood is both arterial and venous, okay? Arterial bleeding is quantitative, okay? Mas madaming arterial blood rather than venous blood, okay? So, kailan nag-i-start siya? Nag-coil, di ba yung spiral arteries nag-constrict? It's going to rupture eventually. It's going to form a hematoma and then there's going to be bleeding. Okay? Decidua of pregnancy, tsaka na natin ito pag-usapan. Pag-uusapan ito natin, ma'am, okay, you need to remember basalis, capsularis, and parietalis, and the difference between decidual vera, okay? Decidual vera is formed at 14 to 16 weeks age of gestation. You will be asked to draw or you will be asked to describe. Okay? Okay. The decidua, basalis, and parietalis are differentiated, or there are three layers. We have the compacta, the spongiosa, and the basalis. The spongiosa and compacta forms the functional layer of the decidua. Wala na to. Decidua capsularis, spongiosa, basahin nyo na lang po. Okay? Clear? Good. Okay. 5 minutes or 3 minutes pwede. For the second lecture.